Hey folks, we're stood in the kitchen just about to head to Manchester Airport. We're going to Gambia in Africa, so hopefully we'll be there. It'll be dark when we get there, but I'll try and get some footage on the way, and we'll see you in Africa. After a short taxi drive, we made it to Manchester Airport, Terminal 2. Here at Manchester Airport, Terminal 2, getting ready to fly.
We're ready.
I'm a nervous flyer, this could be fun.
I'm not, I'm excited.
We are at the airport. Cheers! We've found our plane. I'm getting scared already.
It's the smallest plane.
Before long, we were on the aeroplane. Admittedly, I'm pretty nervous with takeoffs, but it wasn't too bad. After bracing for a few minutes, we were up in the air and on our way to West Africa. This caused for celebrations, a bit of red wine. Oops. We're on a plane. We're nearly there. We've got about an hour and a half to go. It's time for Africa. It was a 6-hour flight. It wasn't too bad because I put some movies on a tablet, and before long we were heading into Banjul Airport. Before we get too stuck into the video, please like, please subscribe, and please press the notification bell for more Aviary and adventures. Now, back to our big adventure. As we turned up in the evening, it was certainly meal time, so we headed to the new Wild Monkey restaurant on the Senegambia Strip.
Gotta see this. Look at this. Essentials. Cup of tea, of course. And that view.
Whilst Kaylee scoped the birds from the room, I went for a bit of a morning walk down to Kotu Bridge, seeing some great birds on the way, like this lovely yellow-crowned gonolek and some red-billed hornbills feeding on the ground. I was even shouted at by one of the local pied crows. Near the crow feeding on the ground were a noisy flock of long-tailed glossy starlings. And as I walked round into the rice fields behind Kotu Bridge, there were a few other birds like this Senegal cuckoo and a bird I've never seen in the Gambia before, a HADADA IBIS. I was super happy to see this, but felt a bit guilty because I knew this was a lifer for Kaylee.
Where are we going?
We're going to the crocodile pool. We're going to Katchakali, I think I pronounced that right, crocodile pool. Let's do it.
As long as the crocodile doesn't sneeze at you again, yeah?
Yeah. That's the one. Our trusty taxi driver, Best Man, collected us and dropped us at Katchakali Crocodile Pool. Although this place is synonymous with crocodiles, there's plenty of other stuff there as well, like a fascinating little museum which shows quite a lot of the Gambian culture and instruments and art. We wandered around here for a while and then headed on the path towards the crocodile pool, stopping at this amazing kopak tree. This tree is rumoured to be over 500 years old and is a real sight to behold. In the past, this tree had been used for fertility rituals. What an amazing piece of nature. Then was time to see the famous crocodiles. Upon arrival there was plenty of crocs about, lying in the sun sunbathing. We looked out for the guide we'd used last time there, whose name was BB. And soon I was sat between two crocodiles, hand on each of their tails. A bit worrying really. I got out the way and let Kaylee have a go.
Alright, relax.
Okay, no, that's about
No, it's okay, relax. Real? This is
what? Crocodile real?
You didn't see it. You already passed by this one. Alright?
I know!
Slow movements, babe.
No, I'm not. No.
And again. Do it again.
No, don't do it again.
This pool, although famous for crocodiles, had plenty of other wildlife there too. Like this blue-breasted kingfisher who was patiently waiting to see a fish. Also, in the bushes on the other side of the pool were plenty of egrets, mostly cattle egrets, but we did see one young black-crowned night heron, which is a lifer for Kaylee. And in some overhanging trees, the very, very noisy village weavers who were building nests there. These birds build nests in colonies that can be pretty raucous. These crocodiles are wild and they can get out of this area whenever they like, but they do know where the food is, as they're fed here every day. Whilst we were here, we noticed crocodiles weren't the only reptiles, as we spotted this lovely monitor lizard. But now it was pretty much time to go, so we said goodbye to BB, our guide, who was excellent, goodbye to the crocodiles, some of which were now swimming in the pool. This picture shows how beautiful the pool really is. So now we waited outside for Best Man, our taxi driver, and a very friendly female police officer let us use her bench. When back in Kotu, we headed down the beach towards our favourite little lunch spot. This place is called Sailors. Last time we were in Gambia, we fell in love with this. The views were amazing. We went up the wooden stairs, found a table under the shade of a palm tree. We're in our favourite little lunchtime restaurant called Sailors. It's amazing, the views here are stunning, I'll show you in a moment. Although we could have sat there all day, we headed back along the beach towards our hotel. After a short nap in the heat of the day, we went out and did a little bit of local birding. By the bridge at Kotu was quite a numerous bird, the wire-tailed swallow, some flying about and some sat down. In the fields nearby there were blue-bellied rollers, and after a little walk we bumped into this lovely fine-spotted woodpecker, which really gave on a show. Back towards the bridge we saw whimbrel. These birds breed in Northern Europe and they're quite rare in Britain, but lots of them winter in the Gambia. As it was starting to get dark, we decided to head back. On the way, seeing some wacky looking beans hanging from a tree and some fiddler crabs in the mangroves. We stopped at the bridge for a little bit to watch this gentleman fishing, but then it was time to head off for dinner. And tonight this meant going for a meal at Chosan restaurant. This is a restaurant a lot of the locals use and it has a fantastic live band. Good morning all. We're on our second full day. Yesterday we did the Crocodile Park and just a few local walks. Today we're doing our first proper birding trip with our guide Musamane, and we're going to Bruford Forest and after that maybe Tangi Wetlands. Let's see how the day goes. Keep with us. We met Musa in front of the hotel at 7 o'clock and headed towards Bruford. When we got there we were greeted by hooded vulture, and after a little walk into some rice fields we found a stunning broad-billed roller. We did stick around in that field looking for green tobacco for quite a while. Unfortunately, although we heard one, none showed
Hello.
up, or not enough to get a reasonable view. Whilst we were stood here, there was plenty of women and children in the field, working, cultivating and farming.
High five.
I didn't ask exactly what they were growing, as there was many vegetables and plants around. Back to the birding. We saw a lovely Senegal parrot that was awfully noisy, got a brief view of a yellow-throated leaflove, which is a lifer for both of us. A pair of northern black flycatchers made a very showy appearance, and a bird that I hoped would be back in Britain by now, but this one isn't, was a willow warbler, jumping around in the top of a tree. A bird that we'd heard and seen flying about came into land near us, and this was a lovely shikra. In Gambia, these are sometimes called little banded goshawk. Just as we were about to leave, a stunning bird showed up in the tree. This was an African golden oriole. After this, we headed away a little bit further down the path. Beaufort has changed a lot since last time I was there. There was an awful lot of forest, but much of that now has been cut down to construct compounds, which seemed a bit of a shame. Moving on down the path, we did see some birds such as brown babbler and black-cap babbler. We also got brief views of a violet turaco in the back of a tree. At this point, Musa took us to somewhere he'd reliably seen red-necked falcon in the past. This didn't disappoint, as we got stunning views of a pair of them. At this point, it was getting really hot, so we moved towards a photo hide, which was basically benches with a canopy, and watched from the hide and saw a lovely greater honey guide, quite a few doves, including this black-billed wood dove. There were birds coming down to drink out of the bowls, like this red-cheeked cordon bleu male, and also a few bishops, which were in non-breeding plumage. This included black-winged bishop and also red bishop. They both look very, very similar, but the black-winged bishop has, guess what, blacker wings. The water dish in the trees was being frequented by doves and weavers. Most numerous of all here was the black-necked weaver. Just as we were about to leave, we were treated by the sighting of a snowy crowned robin chat having a dust bath. We left the hide and went looking for the star bird in this area, which is the long-tailed nightjar. These birds sleep during the day on the floor and are very camouflaged. Musa challenged either of us to find the nightjar in the specific area where it sleeps. Eagle-eyed Kaylee saw it almost straight away. She's got better eyes than me. On the way out of Beaufort, we had a brief, although obstructed view of an African white-faced scops-owl. We saw most of its back, but not so much of its head. Regardless, we headed off, as Musa knew a bird viewing spot in Tangi, with reclining chairs in front of a lovely piece of forest. We didn't see masses of birds here, but we did have views of red-billed firefinch, European blackcap, which probably should be at home by now, and common wattle-eye. But now it was time to move on to the hectic Tangi fishing village.
These are the drying areas. They dry the fish over there. So they dry after taking the English time, they put in some salt.
There was so much hustle and bustle, with fishing boats going in and out. They dry a lot of the fish in Tangi Fish Market. You'd think this would really smell, but it doesn't. When we got down to the beach, there were loads of gulls, and very quickly we had some incredible sights of black tern, which is a lifer for both of us.
Where are we? Tangi Fish Market with some money.
We scanned the scene around us, checking out all of the seabirds present. The most numerous was the grey-headed gulls, but fishing alongside them was royal tern. These birds were coming in quite close. which was stunning to see. Also, there was the occasional very large Caspian tern with its really heavy set red bill. Grey-headed gulls weren't the only birds around in the sea. There were also some slender-billed gulls. We had to search through the pink-backed pelicans to find them. These very large pelicans were picking up any discarded fish on the sea. Tangi was a real feast for the senses, but it was time to head back.
They're waiting for the fishermen to come.
After a short drive, we got back to Kotu, went for some lunch, and then wandered down the beach. Almost nothing is unusual to see in the Gambia, including this man washing his puppy in the sea. We walked past some of the fruit stalls and bumped into Binta, who was a fruit lady I dealt with in 2014. We decided to get one of her delicious fruit plates from her, which was fantastic. We took it back to our room. After a short nap, I went for a little bit of bird watching while Kaylee went for a swim. This resulted in bumping into a ring plover, which is a winter migrant from Europe, the rather large western grey plantain eater, which apparently doesn't actually eat plantains, and one of the noisiest birds in the Gambia, the spur-winged plover or spur-winged lapwing, who are extremely vocal. Whilst walking near Kotu sewage works, I came across this lovely group of African jacana. These birds are very interesting as their breeding structure is a little unusual. There's one dominant female who has a harem of males who look after the eggs and the chicks. As it got dark, I headed back towards the bridge and saw this lovely Senegal thickney, the pretty ubiquitous pied kingfisher, which is super common around Kotu Bridge, and a western reef heron that was fishing close into the shore. But it was now time for bed. The following morning we bumped into someone I hadn't seen since 2014 to find out who. Stay tuned for part 2.